If you are using magic in order to amass great wealth, I strongly recommend you initiate a relationship with the spirit of money at your earliest convenience. If you haven't explored money's shadow before, this might be a lot to take in, but you're in safe hands. Treat this as a game and see what happens. My name is Cannibalism. I am an extremely powerful magician, and one of the things I'm most interested in, because it makes my life so much better, is using words and magic to change how I think about and interact with things, particularly the things I don't like or which aren't flowing easily for me. Rather than battling my way through or repressing my feelings and using sheer bloody-mindedness to try to change reality, I prefer to use ceremony, ritual, and unreasonable levels of love and approval to establish a new relationship with that thing or situation, because very often the results are truly, truly miraculous. Today, we're going to examine how we've been relating to money until now, what we need to forgive, what we need to be forgiven for. This is a shadow exploration, a dive into the dark, and it's going to mark a turning point, a pivot in your relationship with money and mine, a very new way to relate to money. I'm going to talk a little bit about why you might want to relate to money as a spirit and how that might change the way the world unfolds for you. And then I'm going to give you some more resources for initiating that relationship. Money, such a big energy, so potent and dark, energizing and liberating and complex and beautiful and corrupting. In the Gospels of Mark and Luke, our favorite witch Jesus addresses money as a spirit called mammon. And that characterization is very useful for us as magically minded people, because whether or not you choose to believe that money is literally a spirit, it certainly has many characteristics of a spirit, just as your own personal angels and demons do. So let's look at money and see if it makes sense to approach it as a spirit. First, it's invisible, intangible. As you know, currency, our notes and coins, are tokens representing units of money, not money in and of themselves. And in this day and age, of course, that is increasingly dying out. Many of us barely touch cash at all. So it's an invisible, abstract idea where we feel that things are being moved and adjusted around us, but on a level which we can't actually see. Despite its invisibility and intangibility, money, of course, creates very concrete effects in people's lives, whether through its presence or its absence, whether it is benevolent, cordial, indifferent, or downright cruel. Naturally, we have our sigils and talismans for money, as we do for demons and spirits. But, and most important for our purposes here today, money has certain protocols for its correct handling. Very much depending upon how you treat it, it can be friendly or unfriendly, a source of great comfort or something we resent, fear, and inadvertently push away. If we imagine this as a kinky dom-sub relationship, for many of us, money is a cruel dom, but we, instead of surrendering and submitting, have our attention split. We are trying to seize control, to be the dom, but we are so in our feelings about it. We are receiving all these somatic bodily sensations from the energies of money, which we are not processing well, and which are triggering our stories and fears. So we are not being effective in this relationship, either as a sub or as a dom. Obviously, to get this relationship working as we need it to, we must introduce some balance, create boundaries, re-establish communication, and we need to learn to love money for all that it is. Now, I don't know if you've noticed or not, but in many spiritual traditions, the pursuit of money is considered with great suspicion. And this isn't necessarily a mistake. After all, terrible, heinous things are done every day, every minute in the name of money. It is a nasty, dark, intoxicating, and incredibly powerful magical substance. consider the evolution of money as a means of exchanging tokens and talismans for life force. If you pay me for an hour of my time, we trade an abstract concept, digits in the banking and commerce system, for 1 hour of my life. An hour of this one and precious life, an hour of my energy that I could be spending playing with my children or tending a garden. And in exchange for these tokens, I allow you to consume me. Who knows what levels of consumption I would consent to if the number of tokens was great enough. Do you see how this substance has cannibalism and consumption built into its very fabric? Of course, it also happens to be warm, generous, comforting, kind, charitable, and capable of creating incredible transformations. In other words, it's a lot like you and me, complex, non-dual, and very, very fucked up. However, we know that the danger in certain magical substances is the very thing that makes them such incredibly potent agents of spiritual awakening. Whether it is demonic ritual, baneful herbs, plant medicine, sex magic, all are used to achieve higher planes of enlightenment. These strands form the poison path in which we as practitioners intentionally embrace the poisonous, the dark, the repulsive, the dangerous, in order to transmute them into some of the greatest medicine and the most spectacular magic imaginable. Money, I am sure you agree, is one of the vilest poisons in our culture today. You know this because you have sniffed distastefully at news stories, you have wrung your hands over crimes, you have signed petitions and shared memes about social inequality. Think of the outrage at news about Bezos and Musk's tax affairs and how much we enjoy taking the philosophical and moral standpoint that billionaireship should not coexist in a world where people also experience crushing poverty. We, particularly women, are actively encouraged by the prevailing culture to seek only just enough money, never to be greedy or acquisitive, to consider ourselves as being separate and certainly morally superior to people who are extremely wealthy. But despite our lack of trust, this relationship really isn't one we can avoid, because if we choose to remain in an ineffective and unfulfilling relationship with money, and if we don't wish to actively avoid it, the only option is to persuade the spirit to work for us, exactly as we might do with our personal demons. Money as a spirit wants to be valued, it wants to be loved. Of course, we all love money, or is it rather that we hate to be without it? Because I certainly speak to a lot of people who diminish and apologize for their desire for money, and who tell me how people who become untrustworthy or unscrupulous when they get rich. One of the truisms, the epithets that I live by, is that the only way to change something is by loving it, all the way through. I expect you too have been subjected to money mindset advice, encouraging us to focus on the wonderful things we will do with money and resolutely ignoring the atrocities which are undeniably inflicted on people and our planet in the name of money. It's easy to see why we distrust and therefore push away money, but we can't learn to love it by ignoring its shadow, just like learning to love ourselves or our children or in any other relationship. Conditional love does not create powerful, beneficial symbiosis. We've learned, haven't we, in our explorations of the law of attraction and manifestation, that if having is evidence of wanting, then we all do indeed want some extremely fucked up things. And all the beautiful, exquisite, tender things we love and want exist alongside cruelty, depravity, and utter, utter horror. And the only way to get more of the things we know we do want is to find a way, however imperfect, to love the awful as well. Now, As I mentioned at the top of this video, it's my firm belief that anyone in business and anyone handling money is advised to have a permanent money or wealth altar. After all, we are all going to be dealing with money in one way or another until the day we die. If you don't feel that you want to give permanent space to a money altar, then at least have one set up during times when you're actively seeking to manage or increase or change the flow of money into and out of your household coffers. Or, like now, when you're planning for a period of time ahead. You do need to tend your altar regularly because items on it manifest in your magic, even the things that are there accidentally, like a glass of water with dust on the surface or rotting offerings. Creating and tending your altar is an amazing way to keep your magic alive, but you must keep it clean, tidy, and energized so that your magic will match. Better to put it all away than to let it stand dusty and neglected. To create your altar, have a look at my video on YouTube on the subject, which I will link below, but a cloth or tray, green, blue or gold, and then gather money-related effigies, talismans, totems and other paraphernalia and arrange them according to your own taste and pleasure. You might include a print or a statue of gods or deities associated with wealth, a picture of a deceased relative who was particularly handy with money, a green or gold candle with appropriate symbols or sigils inscribed upon it. For example, the glyph of Jupiter, who is the planet and deity responsible for expansion, wealth, riches, and general largesse. And I highly recommend writing a letter to the spirit of money, thanking it in great detail for every penny that has been spent on you since you were born, and asking forgiveness for every time you have judged money negatively and pushed it away, even as it tried to approach you and enrich you. Before we end, it's very important that you acknowledge the spirit of money right now. Like all things, it dwells within you and your consciousness, so you're advised to recognize its presence. Pause the video if you'd like, and just give gratitude for all that money has made possible, for all that it has given you since the day you were born, everything you have received, from the roof over your head, for medical care, for your education, for all the lessons it has taught you, for the clothes you wear, the food in your kitchen, the device you are looking at right now. And then spend a moment longer thanking money for all of the terrible, horrible, awful things that exist in our world because of it. In the wisdom and understanding that as a non-dual spirit, we cannot receive only what we judge as good about money without also accepting the bad. If you are ready now to initiate your relationship with money, check the description below for a list of suggested items for your altar and instructions for setting it up. Next, you need to click on the link below to get a guided meditation, a potent and often very erotic encounter with money, after which, I promise, things will never be the same. Do comment below and let me know what happens. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. My tender little heart is endlessly full of gratitude for you, and I look forward to the next time our paths will cross. I hope it will be very, very soon. Goodbye.